Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel again. Today we're doing another video on the 99 Dyna Wide Glide. This is going to be part of the maintenance that we need to do on it. We're going to be adjusting the primary chain and the drive belt today. So if you're interested in this bike, check out other videos on the channel. We've got an inspection that we did, an introduction to this bike, 3-hole oil change, bars. We've done a bunch of videos on it. There's a bunch more to come, so keep an eye out for that. If you like other bikes, I've got a street glide that we've got a bunch of videos on, cars, trucks, ride along videos, a little bit of everything. So check out the other videos on the channel. So let's go ahead and get started on doing this primary chain adjustment. So to get started, we need to take these 4 Torx head screws out with a T27 torque wrench, not a torque wrench, Torx bit. We'll take these 4 out. There should be 2 short ones like this, and then 2 big long ones. I think this is another short one here. And this little chrome inspection cover will come off. That's another short one. Long bolt. And with that, the little inspection window comes off. So I'll get you around here. I'll get a light and get you around here where you can see what we see through that hole. So that nut you're looking at right there is the adjustment. You loosen that nut and then you can slide that's your shoe on the bottom, your tension shoe. You can slide that up, this little ratcheting type of ramp back in here. You raise this up, it raises the shoe under the chain up and tightens it up. The chain way up in there, as you can see up in here, is where you're going to feel to see how much play is in the chain. It's about halfway in between the compensator sprocket up here and your clutch basket here in the back. So we're going to stick our fingers in here and push up on the chain and see how much slack is in it. The spec on it is on a cold engine, between 5/8 of an inch and 7/8 of an inch, I believe. I'll put it here on the screen if I'm wrong about that. And 3/8 to 5/8, I believe, on a hot engine. Our engine's cold, so we want the bigger of the specs. But this one's got a lot in it. This one's got probably an inch or more, so it needs adjusted. You know, loosen up this lock nut right here and raise this up a little bit until we get the correct amount of tension at the top, or amount of slack at the top. Okay, so here's the page in the manual that talks about adjusting the primary chain, and here's the specs for it. I was correct, 5/8 to 7/8 with the engine cold, and 3/8 to 5/8 with the engine hot. So I've got it adjusted now. It's close to that 5/8 inch slack. And then up here, it's got your torque specs for, and pay attention because the 2 small bolts are a different torque spec than the long bolts are. And it also talks about the derby cover back there, but we dealt with that in a previous video. So that's all there is to adjusting the free play in the primary chain. So I'm going to bolt that cover back on and we can move on to the rear wheel. All right, so I got a phone call in the middle of that, so I don't remember exactly what I'd said, but that's all there is to adjusting this. Make sure you torque that nut down on the inside to the right spec. I think it was in the book there where we were looking. If not, when I'm editing this, I'll put the torque spec on the screen for that. But that's all there is to it. I usually check that every time I change the primary fluid, which I believe is every 5,000 miles is when I do it. So, but that's all there is to it. We'll go to the back now and adjust the belt. I'll show you that here in a minute. It's pretty loose on this bike too. If you've watched the other maintenance video that we did, the oil changes, it looks like somebody was a little lax on their maintenance on this thing, but well, that's okay. We're getting it straightened out now, and we know what we got and when it was done and that it's done correctly and all that good stuff. So, and that's a wrap on the the primary chain. So let's go to the belt here in the back and get started on that. Okay, so now we're going to adjust the belt on the rear drive belt. In case you don't know, it comes from behind the primary cover up here, the inner primary off the transmission sprocket, and it goes around the rear wheel back here with this pulley. And that's what drives your rear wheel. So to make the adjustment, well, to check the adjustment, you use this slot right here, this cutout slot. I'll zoom in for you so you can see it a little bit better. You use this slot right here that's cut out, and I don't know, yeah, you can see the belt inside there. Let me get a light. So you can see the belt coming up and down in this slot here. So what you do, you want between 3/8 and 5/16 of an inch. When you press up with 10 pounds of force on this belt, which is about that much, you want that belt to move no more than 3/8 of an inch. So you can see, just to give you an idea here, this is a 5/16 wrench. So if I set it there, the belt shouldn't move more than that gap right there, or that's the tight side of the measurement. But you can see when we move the belt, it goes almost to the top of that window, so it's really loose. So to tighten that up, we will loosen the axle nut right here so we can move our axle. And then using these Allen head screws on each side, we're going to turn them the same amount. So say half a turn here, half a turn here, then we'll check the belt again. Another half a turn, another half a turn, check the belt again. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side, which is going to keep your tire aligned properly with the center line of the bike. Okay. If we tighten one and left the other one alone, what's going to happen is we're going to turn this tire crossways. Even just a slight bit, your bike will be going down the road crooked, basically. The front and the back tire won't be aligned with each other anymore. So got to crack this axle nut loose, 15/16 wrench for that, 5/16 Allen on these. And then we're going to start with, like I said, probably half a turn on each bolt and see where that puts us on the belt deflection. Okay, so I started with half a turn on each bolt, and you can see already how much it tightened the belt up. Remember, before the belt was going almost all the way to the top of that window. So the way I usually measure these is I'll use a wrench. See if I can do this without. Put the wrench kind of at the top of the belt there. We know that gap in the wrench is 5/16 of an inch. So push up with 10 pounds of force. This is right at, I'm trying to do it through the viewfinder here. This one is right at 5/16 of an inch. And our spec is 5/16 to 3/8. So we're right in where we need to be. So all it took on these adjustment bolts was half of a turn to tighten the belt up that much. So a little adjustment goes a long way on these. So at that point, we just tighten our axle nut back down, torque it to 60 foot-pounds. We've got to put a Cotter key in the hole there and to lock it in, and that's all there is to it. That's I always check the belt deflection again after I tighten that nut up to see if anything changed. All right, so hopefully you can still see the belt back there in the hole. I'm going to line up my wrench again for the measurement. And you can see it is just a whisker past 5/16, but that's okay because the spec is 5/16 to 3/8. I don't know how well that's going to turn out on the video, but you'll just have to trust me that the measurement is right in the window there of where we need to be. It's surely a whole lot tighter than it was. So I'm satisfied with that. Okay, so here's a spot in the manual where it talks about the adjustment of the belt there. You can see down in the bottom, it says 5/16 to 3/8 while applying 10 pounds of force in the center of the belt. And then here it talks about the torque for the axle nut is 60, but this warning here says do not exceed 65 pounds in order to line up that cotter pin hole, because you can seize the wheel bearings if you go more than 60. So that's what I showed you on the bike there, but here it is in black and white in case you had any questions, or maybe this makes it a little clearer for you how to do it specifically. So that's really the only adjustments there are right now. There's a clutch adjustment and a clutch lever free play adjustment. but this bike is good on both of those. There's no issue getting it in gear, or the bike trying to pull while the clutch is all the way in. So we don't need any clutch adjustments on this bike, but we did need to do the primary chain and the belt. We've got both of those done. That's really the only other adjustments there are. So everything's good to go as far as these adjustments. As I said earlier, we've done the oil changes. We've done the adjustments now. So maintenance wise, this bike is good to go, ready to ride. As I've said in other videos, we're in the middle of doing other modifications to it. We're going to take all the painted parts off, paint those a different color. Keep an eye out for that video coming up. We put handlebars on it in another video. So really transforming this bike into what started out as kind of a club style bike. It had a T-bar handlebar on it before. We're going to put floorboards on it rather than the pegs. So we're transforming it from a club style type of bike over to more of an old school look. I guess is what you'd call it. I don't know if you've got a different word for it with the buckhorn bars and floorboards. Let me know in the comments what you would call it. But that's what we're doing with it. So far, it seems to be a really good bike. I've only rode it maybe 50 miles since I won it in the raffle. But wanted to get this maintenance stuff done before I put too many miles on it. I need to take it out and ride it now, shake it down some, and burn up the gas that's in the tank so that it'll make taking the tank off a lot easier and won't have as much to drain out in order to get it to the paint shop. If you've watched this far, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. As I said earlier, please check out the other videos on the channel. You might find something you really like. Keep an eye out for new videos. We've been doing a lot of filming here lately, so there should be a lot of new videos on the channel. If you've watched the other ones and you've just come back, there's some new stuff out there, so check it out. Appreciate you all watching very much. We'll be back soon. Thanks a lot.